Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Strong Inside and Out, the place where you're always going to get that nugget of information on being a strong woman on the inside and out. Look, y'all, it has been another wild week. Did you know that I'm recording on April 12th, Saturday? It's a beautiful, perfect day out there. I'll tell you about that in a moment. But tomorrow is another full moon. Now, I don't know about you, but I truly believe in the power of the moon, the stars, the sun, all of the signs. I've always been one to believe in that type of thing. And what I noticed going into education, not only do children react to a full moon, but adults do as well. So if you've been feeling a little off this week, if you've been feeling like things just don't seem settled, that maybe people are making weird choices out there, I totally feel you. I definitely do. It's a full moon on the 13th of April. So, and I believe this one's called the pink moon. I don't know if I just didn't pay attention over the years or if now all of a sudden all these full moons get their own names. I'm not really 100% sure, but it almost makes it seem a little scarier, right? Although blood moon last month, pink moon, I think I'll take that one over a blood moon. But not just that, we have been in the thick of the allergy seasons, people wanting spring, summer break. It's wild out there. So protect yourselves, number one. But number two, this is the most important time where we have to really live life with integrity. And that's really what we're going to be talking about today on the episode. So, seen it firsthand, experienced it firsthand this week. So, let's get started. I went out for my run this morning. It was beautiful. It was perfect. I was walking the dog early this morning around 7. And I have some lakes in my neighborhood, some walkways, waterways. And I just had to remind myself when I was walking him this morning how fortunate we are that we get to wake up and live another day, that we get to wake up and breathe fresh air, that we have opportunities in front of us that are limitless if we allow ourselves to take the first step. I was thinking about how I could make a choice today to have a bad day, to focus on everything I don't have, to focus on failed relationships, to focus on times I've failed in life, to focus on I don't have enough money, I don't have enough this, I've gained a few pounds, I can't lose a few pounds, whatever it seems to be. And I took a breath in as we were walking by the fountains in the lake. And I said to my dog, and yes, I do talk to him. And yes, I do think he understands me. And I said, today, let's choose to have a great day. Now, he's about to be 14 in June. And I know that I'm not going to have an endless number of days with him. But today, we got to choose to take that walk together. We got to come home and choose what we wanted to have for breakfast and sit down together. And as we always do, he lays up aside me as I eat breakfast, drink my coffee on the weekends, and do work on my business. And it's blissful. It's truly enjoyable for me. People ask me why I work so hard sometimes. And I tell them I'm just living my life. And I think that we have to remember that sometimes. So that's a little side note, but go out there and live your life and remember, stay focused on the things we have rather than the things we don't have, because it will change your whole perspective. Integrity. Let's talk about that word. That's a word that I think we've lost the meaning over the years. What does it mean to live with integrity? I think that we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. Nobody is perfect. I've learned that hard lesson over the years. But I try my best every day. I have a core value within my business, in my own personal mantras, within the work that I do, my career, my parenting, my friendships. Now, this mantra, this core value, whatever you want to call it, may not align with everybody else in my world, but I continue to strive for excellence. I continue to try to be better than I was yesterday. Try to be better at friendships. Try to be better at motherhood. Try to be better at my job. Try to be better, a better runner, a better dog mom, whatever role or task I'm completing. I try to do it with excellence. And if I'm not at the highest level yet, reminding myself that I can only get there when I practice more, when I set my mind to learning more, and when I do more. And that's exactly what I spoke about last week on the leadership lessons, is it takes more sometimes to be the best, to be excellent. And that's what I strive for every day. And in doing so, there are some other character traits that I have to think about and continue to nurture and continue to grow, just like we all do. I want to live an honest life. I want to live an authentic life. I have been in a place where I wasn't honest with myself about who I was, or at least I didn't think who I was good enough. So I was living an inauthentic life, a fake life. I was trying to be the people around me, the cool kids. I think a lot of it had to do with growing up. I was very nerdy always, and I'm going to accept that and embrace that now. But I felt embarrassed by that as a kid. Life, at least school life, was really easy for me. Education, studying, understanding things just came easy for me. I was embarrassed by that. Of course, a girl, teenage girl, we don't necessarily want to be known for our brains, right? And I fell into that category. And as I then moved out of high school and into college and got pregnant, and I wasn't married yet, I knew she was the best thing that ever happened to me, but I was embarrassed by the fact that I didn't have the traditional path. I think that's what made me work so hard, to prove to others that I was still a good person, still worthy. But once I got into that teaching role and I made the shift to no longer be the shy, insecure girl that I was growing up, I became one of the popular kids. And I don't know if I really knew how to handle it. I don't know if I really knew how to be that person. And so I was emulating what everybody else was doing. If somebody bought a certain pair of shoes, I had to go buy those shoes. They weren't necessarily my style, but I went and got them anyway. If somebody was wearing a certain trendy outfit, I went and got that outfit as well. May or may not have looked good on me, but it didn't matter because I went and got it anyway. If my friends were going to a certain bar or restaurant or coffee shop or whatever it is, whether I liked going there, liked the food, liked the drinks, whatever, it didn't matter. I went there anyway. I was constantly making myself what I thought everybody else wanted me to be, so I could continue to be the popular girl, because I liked the popularity. I'm not gonna lie to you. Not having it so long growing up and being almost shamed, there was other factors that played into it. I enjoyed the attention. I enjoyed the popularity. And I think it was right as I was starting to become a school administrator And I realized how fortunate I was that my path had taken me in the direction that it had taken me. I realized quickly that this was my path, even though I had fought it for a while. And I wanted to be really good at it because I understood the impact that it would have on other people. And so life was no longer about me. I also think I was maturing. I was, starting to get into my middle 30s and realizing that my purpose on life or my purpose in life, being on this planet, actually was to help others grow, have that influence and impact so that others could have the life they wanted, including my daughter, including my family, including the people in my circle, and of course, including all of the people in my care at the school. I think I was starting to mature. And as I was starting to mature, I realized I had to now start being me. And I have to say, I kind of like myself. I know that that sounds weird, and I'm not saying that I'm conceited or anything like that. I'm very proud of my accomplishments, but I like who I am, who I became. I am not afraid to show my intelligence now. I'm not afraid to say how vulnerable I might be in some areas. I'm not afraid to say, let me help you because I've had that experience, or to say, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can give you what you need. I'm comfortable in saying, this is who I am. And if you like this version of me, this is the real me. You can get on board. And if you don't, then I may not be the person for you. Now, that doesn't mean that there are times where I go, oh, I could have done that better. Or, oh, am I good enough for that? Because we all do that. We're human. But living an authentic life has always been something I wanted to do. And I think I finally achieved that. Now, does it mean everybody loves it? Absolutely not. Have I severed some relationships because of it? Absolutely. But as I tell my clients so often, I tell my daughter and my friends that are closest to me, then you're just not my people. And that's okay. I saw something on a Facebook post today that said, why are you worried about everyone liking you? Because honestly, you don't like everyone. And that's so true. Think about that. And it brings me to this word integrity, because if we're not authentic, we're not honest, we're not striving for excellence, are we living life with integrity? I often tell students integrity means that you're doing the right thing, even when no one is watching. You're doing your best, even when no one is judging, right? Or measuring your success, because you want the best life for yourself, or at least I do. I want that life that I wake up in the morning and I say, all right, let's get going. Let's make these big things happen today. Let's enjoy life. Let's do this thing. Now, I'm a realist. I know that life is 50-50, right? 50% great and 50% not so great. And there are always going to be good times and bad times. And there will be days that I wake up, even though I have a great life, that I'm going to wake up and say, oh, I don't know if I want to do this today. I was talking with a friend the other night and I said, wow, adulting is hard. And I truly believe that. And I know you do as well. But are we living life with integrity? Because think about all of the things that are happening out there in the world right now. Number one, of course, they're all in our face, right? I'm not going to say that I am foolish enough to believe that life wasn't just as hard for my grandparents, for my parents, and for my great grandparents. It was just a different kind of hard. And people didn't know about it because we didn't have the modern technology that we do now. I remember going through some really, really awful periods in my life growing up. I remember thinking my grandparents were these people who were amazing, but I know that they also had times where life was really, really hard. It doesn't show up as significant, I think, because we're not able to see it all in an instant. And I see social media in so many different ways. And I remember saying this. So in 2010, I, no, I'm lying to you. In 2009, I had my 20-year class reunion for high school. And I did not go to any of the other reunions. But in 2009, I thought, you know what? I have arrived. I am ready to rock and roll. I'm going to do it. And it worked out because that school year, the reunion had always been at the beginning of August, but that year in particular, there were some rule changes and we had to begin school a little bit later. So school wasn't in session yet. I was able to take an extra couple days off over the weekend and be able to go up to Iowa and go to my class reunion. Now, my ex-husband, he graduated from the same high school, but a year behind me, but we grew up in a small town, so everybody knew everybody. And we were both nervous. He was just as shy and nerdy as I was. I think that's what attracted us to each other. But we went to this reunion, and during the time we were there, people kept saying, "We can't find you anywhere." And I said, well, I don't want you to find me anywhere. Like up until now, I kind of went MIA, right? And they were like, yeah, we didn't even know where to send the invite. Somebody had seen your parents and told them, and that's how, we told you about this. And I said, but that was designed on purpose. And they were like, come on, girl, you need to get with the times, get on social media. We need to be able to connect with you. And I remember us driving back from Iowa, and I said to my ex-husband, what do you think about this whole social media thing? And he was like, I don't know. I'm like you. We went MIA for a reason. I don't know if I need everybody reaching out to me. I think it's something we should be a little cautious about. Of course, we sounded like an old couple, but once we got back to Houston and settled, our daughter was in high school. And so actually, she was out of high school. She had already graduated and she had come home for the one of the breaks from college. And I said, hey, what do you think about this whole Facebook thing? And she's like, Mom, you need to get a Facebook. I've been looking for you. And she and I are close, so we talk all the time. But, she's like, you need to get on Facebook, connect with people, blah, blah, blah. So we set it up. And it's about, I would say February now of 2010. And my sister had gone through cancer and she had just gone into remission and she had come down to Houston for the half marathon that my ex-husband and I were running. And I was dedicating that to her. So we put it on social media and she had now gotten a Facebook and all of the things. And she goes back home and I started to see this weird thing about Facebook where I don't know, it just gave me a feeling like people were being a little too open on Facebook. It wasn't like it is now, for sure. But I just, I've always said things just come easy to me and I have this intuition and I just had this feeling. And I said to my ex-husband, Facebook is the devil. And he's like, oh my gosh, you are so dramatic. You exaggerate so much. And I said, no, I said, really seriously. I said, look at this. And there was a post by one of our friend couples, but one of the people in the couple. And I said, I guarantee you in 2 months, something's going to happen with this marriage. And he's like, you don't know that. And I was like, I'm telling you. And it was May of 2010, and we heard about this, and they weren't close couple with us, but they were our friends on Facebook, and we heard, that they were splitting up. And I'm gonna tell you, it was August of 2010 that my ex-husband and I split up. And there was a sign with something he said on Facebook. He said something at home, and I just went, hmm. And he said something on Facebook about a week after that. And I had a gut feeling. And within a month, we were split up after 19 years of being married. So I digress a little, but that's to say, everything is out there in your face. And not just myself seeing it as the wife or whatever, but our friends saw it too. People that we weren't that close with. And they started to wonder and question as well. So everything is out there. But also, social media can be manipulated in so many different ways. We don't see, unless people want to be those people, we don't see everybody's downs, struggles, challenges. We see the highlights. We see the polished versions. We see the airbrushed pictures, right? And videos. And so it makes people extremely vulnerable, in my opinion, to this whole feeling of, can I be my authentic self and still be worthy? And if these people are out here doing this, should I be out here doing this, whether it's the right or the wrong thing? And it challenges our integrity. And it takes a really strong person, especially a strong woman, to be able to stand up and say, I'm going to live my life with integrity. I'm going to be my authentic self. I'm going to do it, whether someone is watching, judging, or not. So that's my challenge for you this week. If you were to measure yourself on a scale, I tell the students at school 1 to 10, and then I started doing thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. So let's just use something simple. Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. If you were to give yourself a rating, how authentic are you? And are you living life with integrity? And if you're doing anything besides thumbs up, and be honest with yourself, because that's why I challenge you to do things, right? Not so you can just lie and put on this facade. Then it's time to step back and say, what do I need to think about? Because again, at the end of the day, this is our only life we get. And I want the one that I wake up and say, sure, there's going to be hard times, but I can't wait to get this day started. All right, y'all. That's everything for this week. I hope you have an amazing week. It's the middle of April, getting ready for the Easter holiday, if that's what you celebrate, getting ready for tax season, if that's what you celebrate as well, and really starting to get into the last month of spring. And then we're back into summer, and the year's flying. Time goes. So let's go out there and be the strong woman we can be inside and out. Have a great one, and I'll talk to y'all next week.